The World Economic Forum has declared that the US First Amendment, which protects freedom of speech and freedom of the press, must be consigned to history in order to allow for a successful reboot of humanity. And make no mistake, they hate us for our freedoms. According to US Senator Joe Manchin, the US First Amendment is a problem that the globalist boffins at the World Economic Forum must find a solution for. This is what being a traitor on the global stage looks like.
The problem that we have is the open press system and basically all the platforms. So if you're able to have 5 platforms, social platforms, that you can basically personify the extremes, somebody who is extremely right or extremely left, and it seems like that is the majority speaking. They're not the majority, but they're basically driving everybody to make a decision. What side are you on? Are you on this side or this side?
According to Manchin and the globalist elites in Davos, the media space is not controlled enough. This might sound absurd to you when you consider that the mainstream media is completely bought and paid for, but Manchin, Schwab and the Davos elite are not talking about mainstream media. They are talking about independent media and the internet in general. They are talking about real people like you and me. The internet is a major problem for the elites. They want humanity to live in a world where political theatre, like the fake arrest of Greta Thunberg this week in Germany, is broadcast into the homes of millions of people, where everybody accepts everything on face value because there is nobody left to question the narrative and expose the lies. Take a look at Thunberg and her fellow actors laughing, posing and getting ready for the cameras before the fake arrest that was carried on every mainstream media network in the world.
You also want those for email? Wie sieht's denn aus mit der Badstraße? Was mit der?
It's all fake, and that's the way the globalist elite like it. Anything real is attacked by the mainstream media, derided as fake news by the fact-checkers, and suppressed by algorithms on social media. We are living through a full frontal assault on truth and decency, a time when lies are peddled as self-evident truths, and anybody daring to tell the truth about the real agenda of the elites is slandered, vilified, attacked as insane, or even worse. Klaus Schwab was confronted by an independent journalist from Japan this week at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Take note of his reaction when she says she's an independent journalist. Make no mistake, the global elite are terrified of us.
Chairman Schwab, I'm from Japan. May I ask you for... I'm from Japan.
Yeah.
And may I ask you for a comment?
No,
we're on our way to the next thing. We're a bit late.
I can just walk with you and then ask questions.
I think we're gonna rush actually. But thank you. Thanks very much.
Which media are you with?
I am an independent journalist from Japan.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Yes.
I have to ask.
Thank you.
The elites will stop at nothing to control the media and the internet because the stakes are so high. But you don't have to take my word for it. Klaus Schwab and his goons are becoming increasingly arrogant and have begun to brag about their plans to depopulate the world and usher in the New World Order. Schwab has even given up pretending he isn't hell-bent on destroying America from the inside. Here he is admitting that America will be destroyed and the world will be run by the World Economic Forum and its stakeholders, including BlackRock and Bill Gates.
Who will really command the fourth industrial revolution and its technology like artificial intelligence?
What's your sense of who's best placed at this time to lead the world into the fourth industrial revolution? Because you pretty much created this term. We're seeing the kind of technological strides that China has made with Huawei, with the 5G technology. Do you believe that this could potentially be China's time once again?
We should make here again let's say a differentiation. On the one hand, we have state capitalism. On the other hand, we have shareholder or private capitalism. So it's a clash between two systems. I believe that state capitalism in the short term provides certain advantages because you can mobilize in a concentrated way a lot of resources to reach a specific objective. But I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism.
And if you're wondering how tightly the global elite control the mainstream media, we have a few exhibits for the prosecution. Mainstream media outlets have been exposed reading from the exact same script and advancing an identical propaganda narrative. Take last year's highly theatrical FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, for example.
Sources tell ABC News there's been a strong reaction to the raid on extremist and QAnon-related forums.
Sources say there's been a strong reaction to the raid on extremist and QAnon-related forums.
Sources also telling ABC News there's been a strong reaction from some extreme groups online, including QAnon and other groups.
There's been a strong reaction to the raid on extremist and QAnon-related forums,
including those that were active before January 6th.
Including those that were active prior to January 6th.
Including those that were active prior to January 6th.
Involved in the January 6th insurrections,
including those that were active prior to the January 6th riot.
Some have been calling for violence and even a civil war.
Some of them include calls for violence and even a civil war.
Some of them include calls for
violence in online forums
and even civil war.
This was the top comment on the search on the pro-Trump site The Donald last night. Quote, lock and load with references to a civil war.
Talking very violently about civil war.
Searches for civil war spiked.
They're talking about civil war. Civil war. Civil war.
Civil war. Civil war. Civil war.
Which raises the question, what do the elites have to hide and why are they so determined to make everybody see major events in the same way? This is mind control in action. There is a reason they are called programs and programming. And it's not the first time the media has been caught parroting from the same propaganda script.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest
responsibility
is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think.
Are you surprised? In 1949, a CIA director called Frank Wisner was given a task to create an organization responsible for the manipulation of media and direct action in the United States and other countries around the world. This operation would be known as Mockingbird. The justification for Operation Mockingbird was to fight against communism. But as often happens with government programs, the stated objective and the reality of what the program is used for do not always align. The CIA would go on to hire many top journalists working for big mainstream media outlets to further their cause. But they did not stop there. They also hired many students and foreign journalists as well, anything to stop the threat of communism and increasingly influence public opinion in other ways too. The CIA even funded Hollywood films. While we can sit here and argue about the ethics of an operation like Mockingbird, there is no argument about its effectiveness. Mockingbird was incredibly effective. Operation Mockingbird was a large-scale program of the CIA that began in the early years of the Cold War and attempted to manipulate domestic American news media organizations for propaganda purposes. The CIA was able to implement a mass media manipulation system, allowing them to control their narrative while censoring those they did not like, as long as it was in a company in their control. Huge media companies that controlled vast swathes of the American media landscape, including CBS, Time Magazine, The New York Times, and The Washington Post, were all in the bankroll of the CIA and directly under their control. While Operation Mockingbird was able to operate secretly for many years, they could not stay in the shadows forever. In 1964, David Wise and Thomas B. Ross published a book called The Invisible Government. The book blew the lid on the CIA covert activities and how the agency operated. Then, just 2 years later, Ramparts published the first expose of Mockingbird. Sol Stern, the writer of the expose, describes the experience. Until the Ramparts story broke, the government could count on the mandarins of the Washington journalism to protect national security secrets. But as details of the front group spilled out, Editorials in the Times and the Post skewed the secret funding arrangements and compared it with methods used by America's Cold War enemies. The CIA was beginning to feel the heat. The Watergate scandal drew the attention of the public onto America's many agencies. This led to many investigations, most notably the Church hearing. In 1975, a US senator by the name of Frank Church set up a committee forever known as the Church Committee. CIA Director William Colby was called in for a hearing. The Church Committee would go on to release various reports exposing the CIA, leading to public outrage about their actions. The next year, George H.W. Bush, who was the new CIA director, publicly ended the CIA's relationship with the media, stating, "The CIA will not enter into any paid or contractual relationship with any full or part-time news correspondent accredited by any United States news service, newspaper, periodical, radio, or television network." Perhaps that's why CNN are listed as entertainment and not news. Just a thought. Regardless, the scary fact is that the mainstream media is a cesspool of manipulation and thought control, and 99% of the people have no clue about what's going on. And if you think it was bad in the 1960s and 70s, you need to get yourself up to speed, because in 2012 Obama reversed the Smith-Mundt Act, meaning domestic audiences can again be targeted by government propaganda. Propaganda and fake news have been a hot topic since then, especially since media favourite Hillary Clinton lost the 2016 election. And if you're wondering what Obama's handiwork looks like in practice, consider this Exhibit A for the prosecution.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 The poet W.H. Auden summed it up best. He said, propaganda is a monologue that is not looking for an answer, but an echo. Here at The People's Voice, we refuse to be an echo for the globalist elite. If you believe we're doing important work, then please like this video and subscribe to the channel to help us spread this news far and wide. Are you interested in reaching a large and growing audience? The People's Voice offers a unique opportunity to promote your brand to an audience of millions of engaged viewers. If you would like to sponsor or advertise on our show, please email sponsor@thepeoplesvoice.tv.